important thing in communicating is to try to put my work in context, because I think what happens a lot in the media and when scientists talk about their finding, they say, well, I found this and, therefore people should do this or not do that. I found an association that women with higher mercury during pregnancy have kids with poorer scores on neurodevelopment. Fish consumption is bad because we get mercury from fish, without looking at the larger context and trying to say, well, how does this fit in with what we already know, and then what don't we know still that leads us to the next step. I also say that the area of fish consumption and mercury is really interesting because of this issue that fish contains both mercury, which is a toxin that we worry about, but also good beneficial nutrients. And so we have to be very careful how we craft this message. And interestingly, it really matters things like whether you mention the harm or the benefit first. If you say to people, you shouldn't eat, mercury's bad and fish contains mercury, so be careful how much fish you eat, but still eat some fish because of the nutrients, they behave very differently than if you say, fish is a really great source of nutrients and it's a really healthful food, just don't eat fish that's too high in mercury. Those result in two very different behaviors, even though you said essentially the same thing. And so it's, I think this area is really interesting because it's about the science, it's about understanding, how the chemistry works. I'm not a neuroscience expert, but I'm working with this wonderful graduate student right now who's teaching me a lot about how the developmental tests we do how to think about what parts of the brain they influence, and thinking about which tests are the right tests to understand the effects. So there's the science, there's the interfacing with the policymakers and trying to help make sure we talk about the science in the right way so they understand. I think they understand the whole context. There's talking to the public, and then there's also talking to patients, because I have a lot of patients. I work in women's health, and a lot of my patients come to me and say, what should I do, and what's the right thing? And they don't want a general kind of sort of non-specific statement. They want to know exactly what they should do in a very clear and concrete way.